Here we go. Hey guys, Mike here. This is the Brownie Postgame YouTube channel. This is our first ever live, I guess sort of live interview. We're not streaming it live. This is going to be coming out in a video. But I am very excited because our first guest is actually somebody that I've been a fan of for a very long time and was actually instrumental in inspiring the creation of the Brownie Postgame YouTube channel. I don't know if you knew that, but he did, and I'll get into that. So Quincy Carrier, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Tickled pink by your introduction, man.
Dude, you totally. I want it. So let me tell you first, like how I first heard about Quincy Carrier. So I'm active on the Browns subreddit. So our Browns, like the bros out there, very active there. And a couple months ago, somebody had linked one of your videos, the Colin Cowherd's worst Baker Mayfield take yet. Oh, yeah. And I watched that video and was blown away. And I was like, I instantly subscribed, hit the notifications, get all the updates and everything like that. I sent it to my dad. My dad was like, "Oh, this is great." His favorite one is the Johnny Manziel. Like, you know, do we have Johnny Manziel to thank for this? But dude, I've been a huge fan, and once I saw that and saw like there were actually people out there that were that were positive towards like a Browns fan creating Browns content, I was like, "Oh, I want to do something like that too." So it definitely inspired this channel. So I'm really, really, really glad that you were able to join today. And also for the collaboration that we just did a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. You know, I'm happy to hear that I can inspire you. And I just want to make more Browns content out there. So, you know, because I know how it feels when the game ends and you just want to hear something and your only option is like, what, Tony Grossi? So, yeah, I get how that feels.
Yeah, man, it was, and we'd love to have you on the actual post-game show. I mean, that is the kind of the point of this channel. And I've told this story on a podcast a couple of days ago, but the reason why this actual channel was created was my dad and I have all these conversations about the Browns before and after the games. And I was like, well, why don't we just do a channel where we have people, we'll do it live after the Browns show. We'll call it Browns Postgame. But I didn't want to name it Browns because like the branding and stuff involved with it. So yeah. I was like, we'll do the show right after the game. We'll talk about our thoughts, break it down, kind of do all that kind of stuff. And it was recorded. So that's really where it came about. But I was like, nobody's going to join us on the live show if we don't have like some subscribers and do some stuff. So that's where I kind of started creating all my stupid videos.
Hey, the beauty of YouTube, if you build it, they'll come, you know?
Yeah. So, all right. So I would like to start off. I used to have a podcast like 10 years ago. Right, and we had like this thing we called the lightning round, which was like a breaking the ice type session. All right, and that's what I'm going to name this new one. It's going to be called Breaking the Ice. It is based off of the old Daily Show, not the Jon Stewart Daily Show, the Craig Kilborn Daily Show. Now, this is a long time ago. This is 90s stuff, dude. Are you familiar at all with the Craig Kilborn Daily Show?
I was born in '95, so I don't think that's going to be in my time range.
All right. So they had the best part of that show was this thing called the 5 Questions, and it was like one of the most brilliant segments on television. They would ask kind of like 5 like silly questions, and they're kind of just to get kind of the juices flowing. So I created a couple of them, and we're going to start off with that right now, and you'll get a correct sound or a buzzer sound if you're incorrect.
All right. Man, you're going to expose me.
Here we go. All right. This 3-time Pro Bowl NFL free safety won the Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1990 for the Bears. He played most of his career in Chicago, but ended up finishing a couple seasons in Detroit and finally in Washington.
Oh yeah, I'm actually related to him, Mark Carrier.
That is correct.
The USC, one of the top. I think it was a top 5 pick in the draft that year. I'm actually related to him. It's my cousin.
All right.
Or my uncle or something.
That is absolutely correct. You are on the board with the Mark Carrier.
All
right. Question number 2. This ex-Cleveland Brown wide receiver, originally drafted by Tampa Bay in 1997, scored the first points in the then expansion 1995 Carolina Panthers team and ranks 6th all-time in Panthers franchise history with 176 receptions. Who is this ex-Cleveland Brown from the mid-90s Cleveland Brown wide receiver?
It's 90s, not expansion era? It's before?
It is, I think he played for the Browns in like 93, 94.
So Belichick era. I'm going to just throw one out there. Michael Jackson.
It's actually incorrect. We're looking for Mark Carrier, the wide receiver.
Oh, I'm not related to him. So.
Good guess, though. Good guess. All right. Which popular Cleveland-based rap group would I be a member of in the mid-90s if I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all?
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
That's correct. All right. In the 2009 Bone Thugs song, I Tried, featuring Akon, Lazy Bone was shown in this video wearing a Cleveland Browns number 17 jersey. Who wore number 17 for the Browns in 2009?
Oh, Braylon Edwards.
That's correct. All right. What type of German sausage is made from veal, beef, or commonly pork?
The only German sausage I know is kielbasa.
Close, but we're actually looking for wurst.
I think that's Polish.
Or bratwurst. You see the
idiot.
theme that we got going on here?
Oh, I don't know. How did I say kielbasa?
It's close, though. It's close. All right.
Kill me in the comment section.
Number 6, this Quincy was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in 2001. It was the first rookie quarterback selected in the second round to start a Week 1 game in NFL history.
Yeah, it's Quincy Carter. Fun fact, when I was growing up, he was like kind of popular because he was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. So every time I would get my name called in school, the teacher would be like, Quincy Carter, and I would hate it. I hated Quincy Carter just because of that.
All right, excellent. Last question. Will John Football, i.e. Johnny Manziel, ever play another game in the NFL?
No.
Yes, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. You went 6 for 7, I believe. We just missed the second Mark Carrier, but well done. Well, just like Mark Carrier, who scored the first points for the Carolina Panthers, you're a Carrier who scored the first points on the Brownie Postgame show. So congratulations. We're gonna have to put. We're gonna start a
legacy going.
We're gonna create a scoreboard right now, and you've got 6 out of 7. Well done. All right, so I do want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the Browns. I want to talk to you about yourself. I want to talk to you about YouTube. All right. But first, I want to start off with you. All right. Because I think you're a really intriguing guy. I did a lot of research. I looked at a lot of your old videos, and I looked at your website and stuff, and something stood out. I want to read this. This is kind of like the first thing that's in your kind of about section. I think you just scroll down, but it says, I was born with multiple aneurysms and a congestive heart failure. At birth, my future was at question. Now I take a few pills and get on with my day. For all my life, I had to thrive through adversity. I was raised in the poverty-stricken east side of Cleveland. My schools were hilariously underfunded. I lived with a single mother with 3 kids, and we lived off food stamps. I was born to be a statistic, another number that never left the east side of Cleveland. But through my passion, will, and family, I lived to be an outlier. And I think this is the reason why I'm bringing this up. I think it's going to play into the passion for your home city and the sports teams. But first, what was it like growing up on the east side of Cleveland?
No, I mean, like, there are the rough parts that you definitely like, that a lot of people are kind of familiar with growing up on that side of town. But it's also kind of a beautiful place to grow up, because as hard as it is and as tough as it is for so many people, and as much as people are going through, people on that side of Cleveland, if you really just talk to them, they're so kind. They're really perseverant. They've been through a lot, so they might come off a little rough, but they really care. They're really kind. They really care, and they just kind of want to have fun and just want to relax. So, growing up there, it's just a lot of love. And whenever they see somebody trying to do anything positive, it's like the whole city, the whole side of that city, tries to get behind whoever that is. So it's like, it's a beautiful thing. I wouldn't trade, where I grew up for anything or any other place in the world, because I felt like I learned a lot growing up in those circumstances,
Cool. Well, where did the passion for the Browns begin? What started the passion for the Cleveland Browns?
Man, I feel like I was kind of just born with it, to be honest. I remember like my first Browns memory was in like 2004. Butch Davis was still the coach. And the Browns won against the Ravens like 20-3. And that was like the first time I ever see the Browns blow somebody out. And that was just one of the happiest days of my life. And it's a lot to do with just, me, my dad, and my brother were huge Browns fans. So, we always get together. We could talk about the Browns and watch the Browns. And I don't know, I've always been obsessed with the Browns. I was always that guy who would watch the preseason game and see like Trevin Wade play on a different team and be like, oh, he was a 7th round pick in 2012. And just kind of was a big nerd about the Browns in that way. So it's just something that I feel like kind of I was born with and, was fostered through like my relationship with my family.
That's awesome, dude. So I saw on your YouTube channel, you graduated college in 2017. You moved out to LA to pursue an acting career. Was that because you knew LeBron was going to be out there?
I say LeBron, he followed me, man. I went out there in 2017. The second I leave, LeBron's talking about coming over there. So I'm like, oh, no, you missed the train, Bron. But yeah.
Well, hey, it looks like your first video was actually back in like 2014, and then you kind of started getting really active in 2017, mostly about your experiences moving to LA and pursuing that dream of becoming an actor. What was it that inspired you to start up doing Worst Take?
So funny story about Worst Take. I was actually filming more of like a lifestyle video like this channel had been doing. And then like the lights were hot. I got done filming the script that I had. And I went in to take a break, get a drink of water. I watched like a couple YouTube videos. And lo and behold, this Colin Cowherd video pops up. And I'm kind of like, I'm done with this guy. But whatever. So I click on it and see if it's going to make me mad. And it does. It makes me mad to the point where I'm like, I have to say something. I have to argue back with them. So I start taking down notes and video codes. And then I'm like, you should just record this and put this out there and see what happens. So I just recorded it, put it out there. And, that video is right now like 30,000 views. It really kickstarted this channel. And, it made me think like, okay, this is something that I'm really passionate about doing. I love doing. And, if people want to watch this and support this, that's even better.
Did you think when you started it that you were going to get these like tens of thousands of views and all that kind of stuff? Did you think it was going to have this like viral effect within the Browns fan community?
I was just stoked it got 100 views, like within because it started slow. Like the first day it got like 100 or 200 views. And I was like, oh, cool. Because I put out videos that got like 10 views before.
Yeah.
So, I just kind of put it out there. It was like, yeah, if it gets like 100 or 200 views, it's great. And then like 3 days later, I saw how many views it got. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And I was like, I just want to keep doing this. So I just kept doing it, once a week at least for the rest of the season. And now it's turned into something that like I'm legitimately, doing full time.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So it looks like you just cracked the 5K subscriber mark. Congratulations. Well deserved on that. What's the end game for your channel? Is it something you're looking to do 100% full time? Like, is this going to be like, is QCSN going to be like the thing?
Yeah. So I try to like not get too caught up in the big ideals because sometimes I'll like, put the cart before the horse. But, I kind of see this as right now I want to focus on making sure that, I can make this content, my content, as best as possible. And once I master that, I want to move on to other things like podcasts, maybe, using, if I have a big enough platform, using that to introduce different personalities and different types of shows, and kind of doing something for NFL fans and for football that I don't think has been done in the YouTube space. But if you're familiar with a guy like what Philip DeFranco's trying to do with like news on YouTube, he's trying to kind of make it a whole kind of, network on the internet.
Yeah.
And, that would be something that ultimately, if I could accomplish, give opportunities to other people who just want to talk about maybe their team or their sport, but also giving it good production quality. And I think that'd be something that would be awesome if I could achieve that.
And what's been kind of like the what's the feeling that you've gotten in terms of the reaction from the people who've subscribed to your channel? The comment section has been mostly positive. Have you had any like the typical "this sucks" YouTube comment stuff?
Yeah, I get all kind of weird comments. Apparently, I don't know how to pronounce the word axe because every time I do a question and answer video, I get like 10 comments about how I'm not pronouncing that word correctly. But you know, it comes with the internet. You know, people are going to be positive, which is awesome, and you know, you got to take that in. But people are also going to be negative, and it's you know, important not to consume yourself with it, but also sit there and take it in and be like, okay, let me listen to this guy's hate. Like if it's hating or if it's like, you know, is it legitimate criticism? Because I don't want to become blind to anything. You know.
Have you had any like some like dirty Ravens fans or Steelers fans, or I don't even know if there are Bengals fans, but like any of them like showing up on your channel to troll or anything?
No, right now, except for Bengals fans, but every other fan base in AFC North is pretty like, hey, you know, I'm happy we're going to compete with you guys again. The Bengals have realized they have taken that bottom bucket. Yeah. Those fans aren't as friendly, but you know, they're not happy to be where they are. But all the other fan bases have been fine. Honestly, the only time I really get like some venom thrown at me is when people who are fans of the herd come onto my channel, or when people specifically, and I don't know why, Patriots fans, when they stumble upon me, they make sure they leave their mark in the comment section.
Yeah. I know what that's like. I did one video on Colin Cowherd when he did his last take just about the Browns in general, saying that Freddie Kitchens was an intern and Baker Mayfield was a baby. The one that Baker responded to, and I did like a 30-minute video on it. And my dad was like, that's too long. Like, nobody's going to watch for 30 minutes. I'm like, I didn't even realize it was 30 minutes. I just kept going because I was so angry. I was enraged by it. So I totally know, but I haven't got any hate from the Colin Cowherd fan, the herd people yet.
Oh yeah, it was like once that video, I felt like I could feel it break out of like that brown sphere because it went to like 50,000 views and it broke into like people who are just fans of the herd.
Yeah.
And once it hit that mark, it was like all from positive, like, yeah, he sucks. You're doing the right thing to, you don't get it. Da, da, da. Colin Cowherd's bigger than you. I'm like, I know.
Well, yeah. But that's the best thing about YouTube. It's like it can give somebody who's got a communication style, some skill, the ability to talk back, you know, other than calling in and maybe getting 10 seconds to give him some, you know, some of it back. But yeah, man, dude, the 2 videos that you have so far, at least the ones that I saw on Colin, your takes on Colin Cowherd were amazing. So very, very well done.
I don't know when this is going up, but special sneak preview. If anybody wants to be around my channel in the morning tomorrow, there may be the 3rd and final part to my Colin Cowherd trilogy coming out.
Nice. Yeah, this is going. I'm getting this out tonight. So this is gonna go live definitely tonight. I haven't had a video since my Game of Thrones one last week, so like I needed something to go up.
That was awesome, by the way.
Dude, thank you very much. Those head replacing videos are fun, but they're a pain in the ass to do.
I would imagine, because I was watching it. I was like, you know, when Bleacher Report does something on like Instagram,
yeah,
I was like, this is like high quality stuff here, man. But this had to take forever.
Well, I think partially it does, but partially it's because I'm kind of an After Effects novice, and so I'm sure I'm doing things that are just 10 steps more than I should on like every single thing. But this one, I actually learned a lot from the Rocky one, and then the Game of Thrones one was a little bit easier. But I don't know if it's like this for you, but I always feel when I put out a video, I just it like scares me. I get anxiety that I'm missing something or I screwed something up, or I just have this like feeling that I don't even want to watch it because I'm like it's gonna drive me nuts that there's like 1 pixel wrong. I don't know if you get that feeling too.
Because I have been uploading on YouTube, man, for like under different channels that I will not give the name of. But I've been uploading on YouTube since like 2008, you know, so I remember like having those like really big anxieties and like being like, man, I don't want to put anything bad out there, or especially when I do a video that I feel like is gonna get a lot of views. I'm like, I don't want to I gotta make sure this isn't crap. But you know, I was listening because I'm a big fan of the YouTuber Flemma Raps.
Okay.
And he kind of talks about his process on like how he uploads videos. And he's like, look, sometimes you just got to give yourself a date and put the video out there and let the people decide how they feel about it. And, you know, you just got to put your own feelings aside about, you know, there's a pixel missing here, or, you know, did I not say this? Oh my God, I worded this differently than I wanted to. And the thing, I got to go back and re-record it, because then you never put the video out. So I've kind of gotten used to just making sure like, all right, man, I got to have this video out Wednesday morning by 6:30 in the morning. It is what it is. Hopefully they like it. Let me put it out there. Let them decide.
Right on. And so what is your schedule looking like? I noticed that a couple days ago on Twitter, you're like, hey, do you guys want to see more? And everybody was like, yeah, we want to see more. So what is the new, is there a new kind of cadence of videos coming? What's the future hold for you?
Yeah. So right now I try to always do 3 videos a week. Monday is going to be kind of like what normally is my post-weekend show. But since there's no games on Sunday right now, I kind of just do, you know, something like I did last week with the bold predictions, or, you know, a kind of essay on the defense. That's always going to be my Monday show, more focused on the Browns. And then Wednesdays, worst takes. That's when that comes out. I'd like to do a lot of different topics there. So that's always going to be more NFL, sometimes even college football. And then Fridays, you know, either it's going to be something that I'm covering that happened in the week, or it's going to be like a Q&A video where, you know, I interact with the supporters of the show and give them some time to shine and answer their questions on video.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the Browns now. All right. So
Alrighty.
let's talk about some Browns. All right. So we've had a little bit of time now to kind of like internalize this offseason. I know it was kind of like this big rush of excitement and adrenaline and everything when OBJ came on. But now that we've had some time to really think about it, we brought in some other players as well. Do you have any concerns? Like what? And if you do, what would be your concerns about this roster or team in 2019?
My biggest concern with this team is less. I don't really have the concerns about the roster, because it does have some holes, but I don't feel like they're major holes. It's just, you got to see how they react to the wild card of being one of the most watched teams in the NFL, which they're going to be. They're going to be the most discussed team in the NFL. Win, lose, or draw, they're always going to be a topic on First Take. They're always going to be, you know, they went from being a fun kind of a local story. And, you know, with Baker Mayfield, you're a bit bigger than a local story. But with Odell, now you're under that national scrutiny like the Cavs were. Mm-hmm. You know, if you win 2 games, they're going to go crazy about you. If you lose 2 games, they're going to go crazy about you and say how this team's like, how many times were the Patriots falling apart last season?
Right.
You know, if you listen to how they kind of push it out there. So I want to see how they react to that pressure, because, you know, while I don't have my doubts about Baker, Odell's used to it. Jarvis on some level is used to it, and he's a veteran, so I wouldn't expect him to get caught up. But you do have a lot of young guys who are in the first 2-3 years of their career who haven't had that kind of exposure or were used to that level of frequent national criticism. Mm-hmm. And I just hope that this team can react well to that and step up to the pressure. Also, how they react to not playing a lot of 1:00 Sunday games. You know, I know the body gets used to that, but now this year, and they ain't gonna play a lot of 1:00. You know?
Yeah, these are big. We are now a national team.
Yeah, the Browns are now kind of like they're gonna be. It's like when the Cavs were playing, where like they would find any excuse to talk about LeBron mm-hmm. or what's going on with the Cavs. You know, they're gonna be a place to where, you know, there's gonna be no shortage of people talking about you. So I want to know how they're gonna react to that. Will they have a positive reaction to that? I have a good feeling that they will. But you know, it's a huge kind of question mark.
Yeah. So in terms of the question marks too, do you think it's crazy that we now, as Browns fans, not having a winning season since 2007, now have playoff expectations based off of the excitement that's around the roster and all the changes that we made? Is it crazy that that is what the expectations are for 2019?
I don't think playoffs expectations are crazy at all. Honestly, even if we never got Odell Beckham. Because if you go, and I know people like to say they weren't 500 and all that, but that's skipping out the big picture. You're still counting the Hugh Jackson games. This team finished 5-3 with one of the best offenses in the NFL, with a rookie quarterback who looked like if he started 2 more games would have thrown 35 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards in his first year. This is a team that ended the season on the rise, who gave a playoff team. My cats are doing some crazy stuff right now, but who gave a playoff team, a run for its money on the road in a must-win game when they had nothing to gain in that game. This is a team that is obviously on the rise. So if you look at it through that lens, this is a team that should, without Odell, hit that 9-7, 10-6 playoff mark. Now with Odell, now with Olivier Vernon and Sheldon Richardson, some of the additions they made with the draft, this is a team that it's realistic to expect, hey, we should definitely be talking about winning this division. I think that's where the expectations should be. We should gone are the days about, just hoping we sneak into the wild card or be in the hunt graphic. It's now like, hey, how many games do we have over Pittsburgh? We got to watch that division race. So, I think this year was bound to have a step up in expectations. So I don't think it's crazy at all for Browns fans. I think it's crazy for people to think that we shouldn't have higher expectations or that we should just expect to be 8-8 or something.
Now let's talk about worst case scenario, right? Let's talk about when the panic button would be hit. Let's say we lose 2 games, and the first 2 games are losses. I mean, it looks like we're going to have an away game on Monday night, nationally televised game in New York against a much upgraded Jets team. This isn't the same Jets team that we saw last year when we won that game.
Oh, yeah.
So if we lose the first one and then lose the second one, is panic going to start setting in? Or are we going to be like, give him a little bit more time, and this isn't the same Hugh Jackson guys? What for you, when would that panic button be like, all right, this isn't going right?
My panic button would be hit. I don't think if they lose 2 games, I would freak out. It all depends on how it's done. If it looks like there's some kind of chemistry issue with Odell and Baker, I would start to be concerned earlier. If it looks like there's some kind of issue with Baker and his ability to lead the team, I would be, I'll hit that panic button earlier. But right now, I think look, if this team starts slow, if we start off 3-3 or even, 2-3 or 1-3, I feel like it's important not to panic as a fan base, just because this team has the talent. You have the quarterback. You start out slow. It's better to gain that momentum at the end of the season than it is to, be 7-1 by week 8. Like the Chiefs do every year. So
now let's talk about the draft now. So you got the draft coming up next week. What are your predictions that we do? And then more importantly, are there holes that we have on the team right now that we can fill with the draft? Or are we just looking to use the draft as kind of depth?
See, this is one of those drafts that are just impossible to predict, just because they don't have a glaring need at any position. They have some wants. And they pick so far back in this draft that I feel like, that we're going to pick somebody just from a packet of players who are the best available. Because I don't think John Dorsey really is trying to address any big needs with a draft pick this year. And honestly, I don't think he has any interest in making that many draft picks this year, just because how many of them can you really keep on the roster? So as far as the draft goes, I think it would probably help them if I'm John Dorsey and if I'm the Browns, since you're not looking for starters, I would draft defensive backs and linebackers because that's going to help your special teams, and that's where they're going to play. And then you can have a good rookie, maybe a good rookie safety who can slot in and play some nickel, or have some backup linebackers who can come in situationally, like Jannard Avery did last year, since he's going to be taking a bigger role. But I just think they just need to get players who can step in, play a little bit of a role, not be relied on too much, and be able to lock down tackling on special teams.
Now, does depth concern you on defense? Offense, I think we've got depth everywhere. I think we have almost. It's people have said that even there's only one ball to go around, and we got a lot of people that are going to want to be fed. But on defense, if we get an injury, I mean, the thing that scared me last year with Denzel when he was getting the head injuries at the end of the year, you can only take so many of those, right?
Yeah.
And losing a guy like that, Pro Bowl level talent, rookie year, if we lost somebody like that, if we lost like a Denzel or anybody really in the secondary.
Yeah, just look at what happened last year with the secondary when Denzel and Terrence Mitchell was out. It had a huge effect on our ability to stop the pass. So I think the secondary there, you really can't afford to have any major injuries in the secondary this year. As constructed currently, they might do something come like training camp, but right now, I'm kind of worried, like, if anything happens to Demarius Randall, that's going to really hurt this team because we don't have that many safeties right now. We got Morgan Burnett, who was a question mark last year in Pittsburgh, who should start at strong safety. You got the guy, I don't even remember the guy's name. I forget his name, from Kansas City that we traded out before.
Eric Murray,
who seems to be more of a special teams player and a step-in guy than he is going to be a legitimate solution at safety. So I worry about the secondary getting injured because it's easy enough to pass in NFL nowadays. If, you have a hurt secondary, it's going to be that much easier and that much harder to stop offenses.
Were you all disappointed that we had to give up Jabril to get Odell? And I know the answer is probably going to be no, but now that we have to field the safety out there, we have to have that depth. Did we lose a lot with Jabril?
I thought so at first, that we lost like a significant amount with Jabril. But when I was making my video about the defense, I realized that, if you compare Jabril's numbers to what an average safety, strong safety in Greg Williams' system does, even as good as we thought he played last year, is well behind what the production is for that spot. Now, I do think there are going to be parts where we miss Jabril's flexibility and his versatility, his ability to be able to blitz and it not be predictable just because he's not he's a well-rounded player. So I think that kind of thing with scheme versatility we're going to miss that. But I feel like everything else that comes with Jabril Peppers, as a strong safety, I don't want to say it's easily replaceable, but reasonably replaceable,
And what about on the return game too?
The what?
The return game.
The return game? My brother sees this. He's going to have a good laugh because he hated Jabril Peppers every time he had to return anything, because it would seem like he would get 10 yards or he would seem like he would fumble. But I think, if John Dorsey's probably going to pick somebody, some short guy in the 6th round who can return kicks and punts, or he's going to make Callaway do it because he ain't got nothing else to do. And honestly, I don't know if that scares me or excites me because he's so great with the ball in his hands. But, man, he got to catch the ball on a routine basis in order to return punts and kicks. But I feel like the Browns have a solution in-house with that. And even if you don't have a great punt returner, you can win a Super Bowl without having, the best punt return guy.
Sure. I think a lot, and I'm with your brother, by the way, 150%. Every time I saw Jabril back there, I was like, man, I mean, if he could be the guy he was in college, but then he never really was. And then I was at the Tampa game when he fumbled, right at the end at the 50-yard line, which I was like, this could be like and it was a nice return. It was setting us up to go in. He redeemed himself. In the Denver game, he had the best game of his career by far, but I don't think it was enough for Dorsey. I mean, he's not a Dorsey guy. So Dorsey looked at him and said, you're expendable, dude.
He's not a Dorsey guy. He's a good player, but, if you can get Odell Beckham and get away with saying that, hey, Jabril's the second first-round pick, I don't know if there's any other GM in the NFL that would turn that down or who would say no to getting Odell in that kind of compensation. But, Jabril Pepper – he's one of those players that's kind of cursed because you really only get irritated with him because he does something good, but then does something immediately bad after he does something good. If he wasn't so good, he wouldn't be annoying. But since he is good, he gets on your nerves.
Jabril on paper, when I saw him coming out of college, I was like, this guy's going to be a star. This guy is going to be, I mean, he has just got all the athletic ability in the world. And I felt like, even when you were saying, even when he did something good, it wouldn't even be his fault. It could be the amount of penalties that we had on special teams. Everything was negated. It was like it might as well just fair catch or just let the ball go, and just let the defense down it so we don't get a penalty. But I liked him and I wish him well. I wish all the guys that we lost this year, in free agency. That we let go or just didn't re-sign or just got rid of in trades. I thought a lot of them were really good Browns, but they were all past regime Browns, and now it's all about John Dorsey's team moving forward. And it's like you got to be on the Dorsey train or that's it.
Yeah, and then Jabril Peppers doesn't go to a completely hopeless situation. In New York, he gets to be at home. He's from New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
So he gets to kind of return home. Go back. And, I've always felt like the biggest thing with Jabril is he never adjusted and had the same athleticism that he did after he picked up weight to play in the NFL. So that kind of hampered his game. And I think once he gets used to playing at the weight he does and adjust his play style to that, I think he's going to become, one of the top 15 safeties in the NFL.
There you go. I mean, I would trade a top 15 safety in the NFL for a top 1 or 2 wide receivers. That's one of the things that's kind of got lost in this free agency where everybody's talking about Odell and they're talking about Antonio Brown. And every time everybody's like the best wide receiver in the league, Odell, the best wide receiver with Antonio Brown. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, does everybody forget that Julio Jones is still in the league? And if I was Julio Jones, every time somebody said that, I'd be like, I still play.
Yeah, it's like poor AJ Green, man. AJ Green is like the best receiver that nobody talks about whenever they're talking about top 5 receivers in the NFL. Because he is like, you look at what he's done throughout his career with a fairly average quarterback throwing him the ball, it's pretty great. But since he plays in Cincinnati, and especially now since he plays in Cincinnati, nobody's going to talk about him. But I think he's going to get traded, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your video. I agree with that. I think that last year he's got some miles on him now. He's got some miles on the tires. Got injured a little bit. So if they move him, I think they can get a lot of value for a guy like that, especially if they move him to a team that needs a wide receiver and who's in the mix, in the playoff mix, like a New England. The New England's the team that usually gets these type of guys.
Yeah, New England. I can see Jacksonville doing it too, which is weird. But yeah.
Well, Jacksonville's got some. I mean, they want to build around Foles, so I think they're trying to turn the leaf as well. And instead of doing like what Miami's doing, where it's just like we're just going to tank. I mean, forget it. We're burning this thing down.
I just never know how I feel about the sentence. We're going to build around Nick Foles.
Yeah, you're not a Nick Foles fan. Even with the Super Bowl, even Super Bowl Nick Foles still. There's not that many quarterbacks in the league who have won a Super Bowl,
I know. He was Super Bowl MVP. He was spectacular in that Super Bowl.
Right.
But I can't not remember that he's also Nick Foles.
Yeah.
The dude I saw get benched for Case Keenum. So it's always like, it's going to be interesting to see what level of success he has this year outside of the Philadelphia ecosystem. Even though he was successful under Chip Kelly and then successful again under Doug Peterson, you would think he's going to be successful under another coach. It's just with Nick Foles, man, he's so inconsistent. He can either be really great or he can be Nick Foles.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be one of the most entertaining things. That and Ryan Fitzpatrick in Miami. That's going to be the two most interesting quarterback situations to watch, because Ryan Fitzpatrick might throw for like 500 touchdowns and 1,000 interceptions.
All the quarterbacks down here in Florida are going to be wild. There's Tampa. I think personally Tampa is like still is waiver. They're figuring out what's going on with Jameis. They're like, do we really want to continue? He's one more Uber driver away from being gone forever, right?
Yeah. So honestly, if he starts slow this year, if you're Bruce Arians, do you have any incentive to keep going with this guy? You know, and then also if you're Bruce Arians, if it doesn't work out with Jameis,
then what?
What are you going to do? Because you ain't come here to rebuild. You know, he's not coming here to develop a quarterback unless it's Trevor Lawrence or somebody that they're going to be able to immediately get. I don't think he's sticking around for a quarterback to develop. So I think that situation in Tampa can either be really great or it can be one of the biggest train wrecks in the NFL.
I think it's going to be – I think what is going on in Tampa, my personal opinion is they went in, they're like, we're going to do what we can. If something implodes, if Jameis implodes, if something happens, he gets injured, whatever's going on, I don't think Bruce Arians is the long-term solution anyway. I think he could be a one and done type quarterback. Like if something happens, they implode this year, and Trevor Lawrence is available, and they have that generational quarterback. Think about this draft class versus next year's draft class, or even the year after that, because there's no guarantee that Trevor would come out. I think he probably would. But he needs a little bit. He needs a little bit of meat on his bones before he can do it.
He's a true freshman. Well, last year, right?
Yeah, true freshman, and he's a skinny kid. Got all the tools in the world. I've been a big fan of Trevor Lawrence since back in the Elite 11 days. So when he was on the Elite 11, was him and Justin Fields and a guy that I actually have a connection to, Quincy Patterson, who's at Virginia Tech. So Quincy's going to have a chance to play this year. He was one of those guys out of Chicago who came in and made it to the Elite 11. Trent Dilfer fell in love with him. But Quincy's a tank. I mean, he is a monster. He is Andre the Giant compared to Trevor, although size-wise, I mean, height-wise, but in terms of just size, like meat. But I do think that a guy like that can put some size on him. I think he's going to be like, I have friends that are fans of Clemson. I'm like, look, this guy is going to win you national championships. He's going to win it this year. He's going to win it next year. He's got all the tools in the world. I think he's going to, and I said, right the day he started the first game, I was like, this guy is going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft when he comes out.
Yeah he is going to be the number one pick, whatever draft he is. I think next year's draft is going to be a little underrated, but I think the one guy I would say is going to be the most underrated quarterback of that class is, I don't feel like people talk about Jake Fromm enough. I think Jake Fromm's going to be really good in the NFL. That's just my kind of wild prediction. I think whatever team gets Jake Fromm will have him for the next 15 years. Tua, I don't know about Tua. You know, it's not just about him being smaller. It's like the left-handed thing. How often does that work in NFL? But, you know, he might just set the mode. I might just be stupid about that.
Steve Young's
really like I like Jake Fromm. Comes from a pro-style system, knows how to run the spread. And he's also somebody who, you know, he fought off the 2 years he was there. They had 5-star established guys they were going to bring in. Justin Fields last year. The year before, they had a starter there that he took the job from. And he's been able to do is take the positions from them and do more than people expected from Georgia. I mean, Georgia's now kind of a team you think will contend for the national championship.
Right.
And Jake Fromm has a lot to do with that. So I think people are kind of sleeping on Jake Fromm. I think he should go number one overall next year, but I don't know how his measurables are going to stack up. But I think whatever team gets Jake Fromm will be very happy with Jake Fromm.
Are you a?
I don't know why.
Are you an Ohio State guy? Are you an Ohio State fan?
I used to be a big Ohio State guy. And then when I went to college, since I went to a different school, I mean, it wasn't even like it was a big school. It's Youngstown State. But it was just hard for me to follow, like, and get as excited about Ohio State as I used to, just because, like, it felt weird because I didn't go there.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And it just kind of taken some years off of being like that diehard Buckeye fan, kind of like, made it different to come back. So when I look at the Buckeyes, kind of view them more objectively. It drives my dad crazy because he's a huge Bucknut. And sometimes I'll just tell him, like, hey, I don't think this is going to work out this season. Like I told him all last year, I didn't think that team was going to be able to make the playoffs.
Now, what do you think about Haskins and what people are predicting him to be in the ratings and all the draft experts? The fact that the story is right now that the Giants don't want him, or he could slip back to Miami, in the teens. Is he worthy of a top 10 pick?
I think what's happening with Dwight Haskins is like kind of like the exact opposite of what's happened with athletic quarterbacks in years past, or where people would pass on him because they're like, oh, well, can he pass and all that. I think since he's such a drop back passer, since he's kind of like, I guess, one-dimensional in his ability, that he's not a runner, people are really discounting him more than he deserves to be discounted. Yeah. And I think he's going to fall to a good team that's going to be able to take advantage of him and have him there. The only concern I really have with Dwight Haskins is that, one, he only had the 1 year of experience at Ohio State. He needs to go to a situation where he doesn't have to start right away. And then I would say, if I have any, like, off the field, kind of, not off the field, but kind of like, I forget the name for what I'm trying to say. But if I have any concerns about Dwayne Haskins, is that I don't feel like he was the leader of Ohio State's team last year. I felt like that leadership came from KJ Hill and some of the other seniors. I didn't really see it come from him. When I watch a quarterback, one of the things I love about Baker Mayfield, there are moments where you can see that Baker Mayfield decides he's going to make something happen. He's going to take control of this game, especially in college. In college, I never saw that with Dwayne Haskins. I saw him step up and make big plays, but I never saw him kind of take the team into his own hands and, just say, I'm going to be the leader right now. And that's been my biggest concern with him, is if he can be a leader of men in the NFL. But as far as talent goes, I think he has the arm strength. I think he has the ability to diagnose plays. And since he can run, I think he can run whatever NFL version of the air raid that they're going to run for him.
Now, it's kind of interesting because we're now kind of seeing this almost like short acceptance movement in the NFL. With Kyler Murray, everybody was saying Baker was short, even though 6'1". I don't consider 6'1" short, but it's definitely not the prototypical size.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy like Tate Martell, who had to transfer away from Ohio State because he was like, I ain't going to get a shot with Justin Fields coming in here. What do you think do you think that's gonna work out with Justin Fields, who couldn't really learn the Georgia offense? He couldn't win the job over Jake Fromm, being that 5-star Elite 11 MVP guy. Goes to Ohio State. Tate Martell's now coming down here to Miami to try to win the job down here. Do you think it's gonna work out for both of those guys?
I think it will, because I have a high opinion of Jake Fromm, as this came through in this interview. So I didn't think he ever stood a chance to unseat Jake Fromm, especially after he went to the national championship the year before. It would have took a implosion or injury from Jake Fromm for him to see the field and have any opportunity to shine. So I think him going to Ohio State is going to be what's best for him, because I think he fits that though not Urban Meyer system anymore, but it is Urban Meyer's system still.
Right.
That spread really well. He's a good runner. He's a good passer. He's able to move. He's able to do a lot of different things at the quarterback position. That's going to make him really successful in that system. And then if you look at a guy like Tate Martell, I don't know how that's going to work out in Miami. I don't know about Tate Martell. I think he has a personality that either people are going to deal with or hate, because he just is Tate Martell. He is kind of who he is. And I don't know how that's going to go over well in Miami at that play at the U. So, and it's kind of funny to see like this acceptance movement of shorter quarterbacks, but I think that has to do with how the game's evolved over the years, where it's not as physical, especially in the pocket. And, I read an article, I forget by who, where they said the reason that shorter quarterbacks are able to have more success nowadays is that the game is so wide. It's not just stuck in the middle of the field where you have to look over the line. The game's really played on the boundaries and down the field where it doesn't really matter as long as you find your windows. Mm-hmm. And since there's so much spread and air raid going on, I think there's going to be more of a urgency to get guys who can play the position than guys who can look the part. Because, hey, Deshaun Kaiser in 2017 looked the part. I mean, he's 6'5", 230 pounds. He looked like a great quarterback until he got to the red zone. Yeah. And Baker Mayfield, he's a stocky 6'1" guy, but I would take him over Deshaun Kaiser or any 6'5" guy, that looks the part. So,
oh God, all day
I think
long.
it's kind of that. Yeah, it's kind of a mixture of those two things.
Well, so last question then. Do you think we're going to make any additional moves? Are the Browns going to make any additional off-season free agent moves, trades, anything like that? There's some guys out there, Zach Brown, linebacker from Washington, Mo Claiborne, Eric Berry, TJ Yeldon, Jay Ajayi. I mean, like, anything else that you could see us possibly doing to grab a named guy?
I don't think they're going to get any more big names or like names that you would remember. I think what John Dorsey does is he tries to find people who were in situations where they didn't get a lot of opportunity or were kind of underappreciated and bring those guys in to fill certain roles. If you look at how he added depth to cornerback last year with like guys like EJ Gaines and Terrence Mitchell and TJ Carey, he's going to bring in guys like that who necessarily aren't huge names, but, he's going to bring in guys who can bring in solid depth or solid, role players. And I think that's what the Browns should focus on for the rest of this offseason, especially with training camp. It's just you got the main parts. On defense, you got Denzel, you got Miles, you got Demarius, you got your stars on defense. You got your star. We know we got our stars on offense. It's time to find guys, your utility guys and your role players. You need to find the Browns version of whatever Matthew Dellavedova is going to be on this team. You need to find your role players and guys who I think eventually become fan favorites over the years. But that's where the Browns are. I think they just need to add role players. They don't need to add another big name. They just need to add some guys who can play a role, play some special teams, and make reliable plays. Right now we need more Rashard Higgins and guys like that who fit roles and play those roles well.
Awesome, dude. Quincy, I just want to say I'm a giant fan. I want to say thank you so much for making your channel and making the awesome content that you create. Everybody I talk to is a Browns fan. I'm like, you got to check this. Like, there's a couple guys out there I always give shout outs to. Like, yours is definitely the first channel because I'm just a giant. Like, I'm gushing as a fan. So thank you very much for everything you do. I'm super excited about all the new videos that you're coming out with. And that you're coming out with more. Like, you're up in the cadence of videos coming out too. That's super exciting. And I know, like, I've seen people really start from scratch and turn into that main thing. And I can see that happening with your channel. I'm really excited that I got to talk to you because I think a year from now, I don't think I'd be able to talk to you. So I think you're going to blow up, dude. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for being the first interview guest on the Brownie Postgame YouTube channel.
Hey man, it's an honor. Thank you for having me on your channel. I just love talking about Browns, NFL football, to be able to keep that going. can't wait to the season to see, you know, what more excitement it brings and just the ups and downs of covering the season, the full season this year. So, you know, I'm just looking forward to the future. Future collaborations definitely are in line. Definitely got to make an appearance on that post-game show, man.
Definitely.
But again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Quincy. All right, so guys, to check out his channel, I'm going to have the links down below. You got his Twitter that's right below his head right there. Also, check out his Patreon as well. Throw him a buck or two. Support the channel. Let's see this thing go, right? Let's set it on a fire. And yes, awesome. Quincy, thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go! Woo, woo.